The scent of pine and rotting wood has become a comfort to me now, 3 weeks in this forgotten cabin. And I've memorized every creaking floorboard, every leak in the ceiling where rainwater forms perfect circles on the wooden floor. Outside, the forest whispers secrets I'm still learning to translate. Nighttime is the worst, when the howling begins. Tonight is the blood moon, the claiming ceremony. I stir the pathetic fire I've managed to build, watching sparks rise and die in the cramped stone fireplace. My fingers tremble slightly, though I tell myself it's from the cold, not fear. My reflection catches in a cracked mirror propped against the wall, pale blonde hair falling past my shoulders, now tangled and dull without proper care. My mother would be horrified to see me like this. Then again, she would be more horrified by what awaits unclaimed women during the blood moon. "A proper young lady accepts her place in the pack," she had said, brushing my hair with exactly 100 strokes the night before she handed me over. 100 strokes. Every night of my childhood. The strongest males will compete for you. It's an honor. An honor. I touch the silver pendant hanging at my throat. My grandmother's final gift, the only person who ever looked at me and saw something more than breeding potential. "Your heart knows truths your mind hasn't discovered yet," she'd whispered, pressing the cool metal into my palm the day before she died. "Trust it when the time comes." The pendant gleams in the firelight now. A simple crescent moon with a tiny star dangling below it. My one valuable possession, though I couldn't bring myself to trade it for better supplies when I fled. A branch snaps outside. I freeze. My breath caught painfully in my chest. The forest has gone silent. No insects chirping, no night birds calling. Just eerie, complete silence. I extinguish the lamp with trembling fingers, plunging the cabin into darkness save for the dying fire's glow. Another crack. Closer now. Heavy footfalls on the path I thought was hidden by underbrush and time. They've found me. Panic claws up my throat as I scramble toward the back window. I could run, lose myself deeper in the woods, but something stops me. An instinct, perhaps, or just the practical knowledge that no human can outrun a Lycan. Not on a blood moon night, when their powers peak and their hunger to claim a mate drives them beyond ordinary limits. I press myself against the wall beside the door, clutching my grandmother's silver cooking knife. A poor weapon against creatures that can tear through flesh like paper, but its weight in my hand gives me courage. The footsteps stop at my door. For 3 heartbeats, nothing happens. Then a scent reaches me, powerful, primal, like forest soil after rainfall mixed with something wild and distinctly male. My body responds before my mind can process it, a warmth spreading through my core despite my terror. No ordinary lichen carries a scent this potent. A single knock shakes the entire cabin. "I know you're inside." The voice is deep, almost gentle despite its unmistakable authority. "Your fear has a scent, little one." I swallow hard, knife clutched to my chest. Perhaps if I remain silent, he'll believe he was mistaken and leave. A foolish hope. "I have no patience for games tonight," he continues. "Open the door or I will tear it from its hinges." Something in his tone tells me this is no idle threat. My limbs move before my mind decides, and I find myself turning the rusted handle, knife hidden behind my back. The door swings open, and moonlight floods the cabin, silhouetting the massive figure before me. He's taller than any man I've ever seen, broad-shouldered and powerful beneath a cloak of what appears to be wolf fur. But it's his eyes that root me to the spot, amber and gold, glowing with an inner light that marks him as no ordinary Lycan. They study me with an intensity that feels like a physical touch. "The last unclaimed female in my territory," he says, his gaze moving deliberately from my face down to my throat, lingering on the silver pendant, then lower still. "Hiding in my hunting grounds on the night of the blood moon. Either very brave or very foolish." My mouth is dessert dry. "I'm not part of your pack. I belong to no one." A smile curves his mouth, revealing teeth too sharp to be human. "Everyone belongs to someone in these woods, especially tonight." He steps forward and I raise the knife, its silver blade catching the moonlight. His eyes narrow, not with fear, but amusement. "Silver? That's a human myth," he says, though he doesn't advance further. "It cannot kill me, though I admire your spirit." "I don't want to kill you," I manage, hating how my voice quavers. I just want to be left alone. Something shifts in his expression then. Curiosity, perhaps. He inhales deeply, and I know he's cataloging every nuance of my scent, reading my emotions as clearly as written words. "What are you running from, little one?" he asks, his voice softer now. The claiming? Or something else? The question catches me off guard. I expected force, not conversation. Before I can form an answer, he's inside the cabin, moving with impossible speed. The door closes behind him, and suddenly the space feels impossibly small, with his presence filling it. I back away until my spine presses against the rough wooden wall. "You should know who found you," he says, removing his cloak with fluid grace. Underneath, he wears simple dark clothing that does little to disguise the powerful body beneath. "I am Raven, Alpha of the Northern Territories." He pauses, watching my reaction. "Some call me the Lycan King." The knife nearly slips from my nerveless fingers. Everyone knows of Raven, the most powerful alpha in living memory, ruler of the largest territory in the region. The Lycan who united warring packs through both diplomacy and blood when necessary. Stories of his strength and ruthlessness are told to frighten children. And he's standing in my borrowed cabin on the night of the blood moon. "Why are you here?" I whisper. "There must be dozens of women at the claiming ceremony, stronger women, suitable matches for someone of your status." His laugh is unexpected, deep and genuine. "Is that what you think this night is about? Status and suitable matches?" He moves closer. And despite myself, I don't raise the knife again. The blood moon cares nothing for human concepts of suitability. It calls to something deeper, primal. He's close enough now that I can feel the heat radiating from his body. His scent envelops me, making it difficult to think clearly. "You've been hiding your scent," he says, a statement rather than a question. Clever, but futile once the blood moon rose. I had indeed been using herbs and mud to mask my natural smell, tricks my grandmother taught me years ago. "How did you find me?" "I've been tracking you for days," he admits, and the casual confession sends ice through my veins. "Your attempts to hide your trail were impressive for a human, but I knew these woods before you were born." He reaches out, and I flinch, but he only touches a strand of my pale hair, rubbing it between his fingers as if assessing its texture. "Tell me your name," he commands softly. I hesitate, knowing that names have power, but refusing the Lycan King seems more dangerous than compliance. "Elena," I finally say. "Elena," he repeats, and something about the way my name sounds in his deep voice makes my skin prickle with awareness. "Why are you running from your destiny, Elena? Is it destiny to be claimed like property?" The words burst from me with unexpected heat. "To be fought over like a prize by men, by Lycans I've never met, to bear children for a pack that sees me as nothing but a vessel?" His expression darkens, and for a moment, I fear I've gone too far, but instead of anger, I see something like understanding flash in those inhuman eyes. "You speak of the old ways," he says. "Things have changed under my rule." "Not enough," I counter, finding courage in desperation. "Not for women like me." A heavy silence falls between us, broken only by the soft crackle of the dying fire. Outside, an owl hoots, life returning to the forest now that the predator is inside with me. The blood moon rises to its peak in 1 hour, Raven finally says, moving to stoke the fire as if he belongs here. When it does, the claiming will be complete. Those unclaimed will remain so until the next cycle. Hope flutters in my chest, then I just need to hide for 1 more hour. He turns to me, firelight casting his sharp features into dramatic relief. "You misunderstand, Elena. I have already found you." My heart sinks. "So I'm to be claimed whether I wish it or not." "No," he says, surprising me again. "The blood moon compels the hunt, but not the outcome. That choice remains." "Choice?" I repeat, disbelieving. What choice does any woman have when confronted by an alpha? Raven moves toward the single chair in the cabin and sits, somehow managing to look regal even in this dilapidated setting. "Sit," he says, gesturing to the edge of the bed. When I hesitate, he adds, "Please." Cautiously, I perch on the bed's edge, still clutching the knife, though it seems increasingly useless. "There is something unusual about you, Elena," he says, studying me with those penetrating eyes. "Something that called to me above all others at the gathering. I followed your scent for miles when you fled. Why?" "That," he says with a slight smile, "is what I intend to discover in the hour before the moon reaches its zenith." A shiver runs through me that has nothing to do with fear. And then you will make your choice. The wind picks up outside, whistling through the cabin's many cracks. In the distance, howls begin to rise, the unclaimed males of the pack, their hunt unsuccessful, calling their frustration to the night sky. Raven tilts his head, listening. "They will not disturb us. None would dare enter my hunting grounds tonight. So I'm trapped here with you. You were trapped the moment you entered my territory," he corrects. "But whether you leave as my claimed mate or as a free woman depends on what transpires in the next hour." His words should frighten me, but instead, they awaken something unexpected. Curiosity, and beneath it, a flicker of something I dare not name. For the first time since I fled the gathering, I wonder if running was my only option. The Lycan king watches me with those golden eyes that seem to see too much, and I realize with sudden clarity that my life will be forever divided into before this night and after. "Let us talk, Elena," Raven says, settling more comfortably into the chair. "I would know the woman who dared to run on the night of the blood moon." Outside, the crimson moon climbs higher in the sky, and our time ticks away like the embers falling in the hearth between us. I study the alpha sitting across from me, trying to understand the game he's playing. In all the stories I've heard, alphas take what they want, especially on the blood moon, yet here sits the most powerful of them all, claiming to offer me a choice. "You don't trust my intentions," Raven observes, amusement flickering in his golden eyes. "Wise of you. Trust is earned," I reply, fingers still wrapped around the knife's handle. "And your kind hasn't given women much reason to trust." "My kind?" One dark eyebrow lifts. "You speak as if we're separate species. Human and Lycan share more than they differ. Humans don't claim mates against their will." His expression darkens. "Some do. The worst of them. Just as the worst of Lycans abuse strength for dominance." He leans forward, firelight dancing across the planes of his face. "But I didn't become king by being like other alphas. Despite myself, curiosity stirs. The stories tell of his rise to power, his unification of the warring packs, but little of the man himself." "How did you become king, then?" Something like approval flashes in his eyes. "By understanding that true strength isn't about domination, but protection. The strongest wolf defends the pack, not terrorizes it." "Noble words," I concede, "but words are easy. Actions define us." "Indeed they do, Elena." My name sounds different in his mouth, like it belongs to someone braver than I feel. "Tell me then, what actions brought you to this cabin, hiding from your fate?" The question hangs between us. I could lie, but something tells me he would know, and what does it matter now? He's found me. "My father died last winter," I begin, the words surprisingly difficult. "Without his protection, my mother arranged a match with the beta of the southern pack." "Victor," Raven says, his voice flat. I nod, a chill running through me at the name. "You know him." I know of his reputation. There's no mistaking the disgust in his tone. "He's had 3 mates before, all dead in childbirth," I finish quietly. "Though there are rumors." Raven's jaw tightens. "More than rumors. I've investigated the deaths myself. There was insufficient evidence to challenge him directly, but I've been watching his pack. This surprises me. Why would the Lycan king concern himself with the fate of 3 human women?" "Because I am king precisely to prevent such abuses." He stands suddenly, pacing the small cabin with controlled energy. "The old ways, treating humans as property, forcing claims, they weaken us. A pack united in loyalty and choice is stronger than one ruled by fear." He stops, turning to face me. "Is that why you ran? Fear of Victor?" I swallow hard. "Partly. But also because I refuse to be claimed by anyone against my will, even if they were kind." "You value your freedom." "I value my choice," I correct. There's a difference. His eyes hold mine, searching. And if you had the choice? What would you choose, Elena, with the silver pendant and the silver knife? The question catches me off guard. Before my father's death, I dreamed the dreams all young women do, of finding someone to build a life with, perhaps even a Lycan mate if he were gentle and respectful. But those dreams died with my father. Safety, I finally answer. Peace. A life where I'm valued for more than what my body can provide. Something shifts in Raven's expression. A softening around the eyes, a slight parting of lips. He moves closer, and I tense. But he only kneels before me, bringing our faces level. This close, I can see flecks of deeper amber in his golden eyes, like fallen leaves in autumn sunlight. Look at me, Elena, he says softly. What do you see? I force myself to really look at him. Not just the intimidating alpha, but the man. Strong features, yes, but also weariness etched around his eyes. Power, certainly, but held in careful check, and something unexpected. Loneliness, perhaps. The isolation of command. I see someone carrying a heavy burden. I answer truthfully. He blinks, clearly not expecting that response. For a moment, the mask of the alpha slips, revealing something vulnerable beneath. Then it's gone, replaced by a wry smile. Perceptive. He murmurs, "Most see only what they fear or desire. I've had practice seeing what others miss. It's how I've survived." He nods slowly, still studying me. The blood moon is not just about claiming, Elena. It reveals truths we hide even from ourselves. It strips away pretense. Outside, the howling intensifies. The moon must be nearing its peak. Raven rises in one fluid motion, moving to the window to look out at the crimson orb hanging low in the sky. My mother told me a different story about the blood moon, I say, watching his broad back. She said it was when the first Lycan made a pact with the wolves, gaining their strength in exchange for their wildness. That the moon turns red with the blood of that ancient promise. He turns, surprise evident on his face. An old tale, not commonly known. Your mother taught you our history? My grandmother did. She understood things about Lycans that others didn't. Raven's eyes drop to the pendant at my throat. That symbol, the crescent and star. Do you know what it means? I touch it reflexively. My grandmother said it represented balance between human and wolf, strength and wisdom, protection and freedom. He moves closer again, something urgent in his manner. May I? After a moment's hesitation, I nod. His fingers are surprisingly gentle as they lift the pendant from my skin, careful not to touch me directly. The metal seems to glow more brightly at his proximity. This is very old, he says quietly. A symbol of the moon speakers. The what? His eyes lift to mine. Women who could communicate with both humans and Lycans in the early days. Mediators. Healers. Some say they could calm even the wildest Lycan rage with just their presence. My grandmother's words echo in my mind. Your heart knows truths your mind hasn't discovered yet. Had she known something about me that I didn't? They were respected, these women? I ask. Revered, he corrects. Protected by all packs. The last was reported over 50 years ago. His gaze intensifies. What was your grandmother's name? Ilara, I answer. Ilara Brightwood. Recognition flashes across his face. The calm one. At my confused expression, he explains. That's what the packs called her. She disappeared decades ago, after healing the previous king, my father, of a madness that nearly destroyed him. The cabin suddenly feels too small, the revelations too large to contain. My grandmother, who lived in a small cottage at the edge of town, who taught me about herbs and healing and how to hide my scent, had been a figure of Lycan legend. Why didn't she tell me? I whisper. More to myself than to him. Perhaps she was protecting you, Raven suggests. The gift of the moon speakers can be both blessing and curse. In the wrong hands, I would be a tool, a possession even more valuable than a breeding female. He nods grimly, which may explain why your scent called to me so strongly, not just as a potential mate, but as something necessary. Necessary for what? Before he can answer, a piercing howl cuts through the night. Closer than the others. More desperate. Raven tenses, moving to the door with preternatural speed. Stay inside, he commands, his voice dropping to a growl that raises the hair on my arms. No matter what you hear. What is it? I ask, fear creeping back. Victor. He spits the name like poison. He's followed your trail, despite my warnings to all alphas to avoid my hunting grounds tonight. My blood turns to ice. He can't claim me if I'm in your territory, can he? He shouldn't dare, Raven growls. But Victor has grown bold in his desperation for a new mate, and if he suspects what you might be... Another howl, answered by several others. Victor hasn't come alone. Raven turns to me, his eyes now glowing with barely contained rage. The blood moon peaks in 15 minutes. When it does, the claiming ends. You'll be safe until the next cycle. I'll hold them off. They'll kill you, I say, surprising myself with the sharp fear the thought provokes. A fierce smile splits his face, revealing elongated canines. Many have tried. He begins to turn away, but I grab his arm, the first time I've voluntarily touched him. The contact sends a jolt through me, like touching lightning captured in flesh. He freezes, looking down at my hand, then up to my face. What if... The words stick in my throat, but something pushes me forward. What if I choose before the moon peaks? Would that end it? His eyes widen. You would claim a mate to avoid Victor? I would choose my own fate rather than have it forced upon me, I correct, my voice stronger than I feel. Isn't that what you've been offering? Choice? For a heartbeat, he seems speechless. Then understanding dawns in those golden eyes. You would claim me. It's not a question, but I answer anyway. Better the devil I've met than the one I fear. He steps closer, bringing with him that intoxicating scent of forest and power. A claiming isn't just words, Elena. It's a bond, blood and oath, and he hesitates. Physical union. Especially on the blood moon. Heat rushes to my face. I understand. Do you? His voice roughens. Once claimed, there is no unclaiming. You would be mine as I would be yours. Outside, the howls grow closer. We have minutes at most. I choose my fate, I say firmly. I choose... The door explodes inward in a shower of splinters and moonlight, cutting off my words. In the doorway stands a Lycan already half-transformed, his features contorted between man and beast, lips pulled back to reveal yellowed fangs. Found you! Victor snarls, his gaze fixed on me with naked hunger. The unclaimed bitch who thinks she can escape her purpose. Raven moves with blurring speed, placing himself between us. His body seems to expand, muscles shifting beneath his clothing as the change begins to take him. She is under my protection, he growls, his voice no longer entirely human. Leave now, Victor, and I might let you live. Victor's laugh is ugly, wet with saliva and malice. Even the king must respect the ancient laws. She's unclaimed, fair game until the moon peaks. His distorted face twists into what might be a smile. And I brought enough of my pack to ensure you don't interfere. As if summoned by his words, shadowy figures appear at the edges of the clearing outside. At least a dozen Lycans, all partially transformed, eyes gleaming with bloodlust in the crimson moonlight. Time seems to slow as I take in the scene. Victor's monstrous form in the doorway, Raven's broad back as he shields me, the circle of glowing eyes outside. The scent of aggression fills the cabin, sharp and metallic like blood. The law allows for hunting, Raven says, his voice deepening as his transformation progresses. It says nothing of overwhelming force. You bring shame to your position, Victor. Victor steps forward, claws extending from his fingertips. The law says only that unclaimed females are to be hunted on the blood moon. It doesn't specify how. His gaze shifts to me. And this one was promised to me. Her mother accepted my offer. My mother had no right, I say, finding my voice despite the terror clawing at my throat. I am not property to be bartered. Victor's eyes narrow. You will learn respect when you bear my mark, girl. She bears no one's mark yet, Raven growls. I can see the muscles in his back rippling, expanding as he fights to control his full transformation. And she never will without her consent, not while I draw breath. A cruel smile twists Victor's features. That can be arranged. He lunges forward with supernatural speed, But Raven is faster. They collide in a blur of motion and fury, crashing through the cabin wall and into the clearing beyond. Splinters and dust rain down as the structure groans around me. Through the jagged hole in the wall, I watch in horror as the two alphas circle each other. Raven has allowed his transformation to progress further, his face elongated into a partial muzzle, his body larger, covered in a sheen of midnight fur, yet still walking upright. Victor matches him, his form more wolf than man, drool dripping from yellowed fangs. The pack members howl in excitement, forming a loose circle around the combatants. In the crimson moonlight, their shadows stretch like demons across the forest floor. I should run. This is my chance to escape while they're distracted. But my feet remain rooted to the cabin floor. If I flee, Raven will be outnumbered and killed. And despite having just met him hours ago, the thought of his death opens a hollow pit in my stomach. Besides, where would I run? Victor's pack surrounds us. My only hope is that Raven truly is as formidable as the stories claim. The two alphas lunge at each other again, colliding with a sound like thunder. Claws tear at flesh, fangs snap at throats. They move almost too quickly for my human eyes to follow. A deadly dance of fur and fury. Blood darkens the ground beneath them. Whose, I cannot tell. A movement at the broken doorway draws my attention. One of Victor's pack members, a smaller Lycan with patchy gray fur, slips into the cabin while all eyes are on the fighting alphas. His intent is clear in his hungry gaze. My hand finds the silver knife I dropped when the door burst open. I raise it before me as the Lycan approaches. "Stay back," I warn, my voice steadier than I feel. He laughs, a guttural sound. The beta gets first taste after the alpha. That's the way of things. My grandmother's pendant grows warm against my skin. Your heart knows truths your mind hasn't discovered yet. Something stirs within me, not fear, but something older, deeper. A knowledge I didn't know I possessed. I said, "Stay back." I repeat. But this time my voice sounds different even to my own ears, layered with something like power. The Lycan falters mid-step, confusion flickering across his bestial features. "What?" I don't understand what's happening, but instinct guides me. I step forward, the pendant glowing visibly now even through the fabric of my shirt. "You will not touch me," I say, the words flowing from some ancestral memory. "You will leave this place," the Lycan whimpers, backing away as if physically pushed. His eyes dart to the pendant, widening in recognition and sudden fear. "Moon speaker," he gasps. "It cannot be." A deafening roar from outside interrupts him. Through the broken wall, I see Raven standing over Victor's prone form, blood dripping from his claws. But the victory is short-lived. The rest of the pack closes in, no longer content to watch. "Kill him!" Victor screams from the ground, blood bubbling from his mouth. "Kill him and bring me the girl!" The pack surges forward as one. Raven meets them with savage fury, his movements a blur of deadly precision. One Lycan falls, then another. But there are too many. For every one he strikes down, two more leap at him from different directions. The Lycan in the cabin with me seems torn between fear of me and the instinct to join his pack in the attack. His hesitation gives me the opening I need. Clutching the pendant in one hand and the knife in the other, I step through the broken wall into the moonlight. "Stop!" The word tears from my throat, amplified by something beyond my understanding. It rolls across the clearing like thunder. And miraculously, they do stop. Every Lycan freezes mid-motion, their heads turning toward me in unified shock. Even Raven pauses, blood-streaked and panting, his golden eyes wide with surprise. The pendant burns against my palm now, pulsing with a silvery light that casts strange shadows across the clearing. Words come to me unbidden, in a language I've never spoken but somehow know. Lunara vex mortis, sanguis pactum invocatum. The ancient Lycan tongue feels natural on my lips. By blood and moon, I claim the right of choice. Victor struggles to his feet, his eyes blazing with hatred. What trickery is this? She's using magic against us, but the other Lycans are backing away, their aggressive stances melting into something like reverence or fear. "Moon speaker," one whispers, dropping to a knee. Others follow, until only Victor and Raven remain standing. Superstitious fools. Victor spits blood onto the ground. She's just a human girl with parlor tricks. Raven steps toward me, his transformation receding slightly as he gains control. Elena, he says softly. How did you... I don't know, I answer truthfully, the pendant still pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. It's like remembering something I never knew I forgot. The blood moon reaches its zenith above us, bathing the clearing in crimson light. I feel its pull like a physical tug, urging me to complete what I've begun. The claiming time ends, I announce, the words flowing through me. Those who remain unclaimed shall depart in peace until the next cycle. Victor snarls, defiant even now. I do not recognize her authority. The girl was promised to me, but I recognize it, Raven says, his voice cutting through the night. As king, I acknowledge the return of a moon speaker to our people. He turns to Victor's pack members, still kneeling. Do you stand with your alpha against the ancient laws he claims to defend? Against your king and a moon speaker? Uncertainty ripples through them. One by one, they look away from Victor, their loyalty crumbling under the weight of tradition and the unexpected turn of events. Traitors, Victor howls. But there's desperation in his voice now. He lunges toward me with the last of his strength. She's mine! Raven intercepts him with brutal efficiency, his claws sinking deep into Victor's shoulder. The beta-alpha screams as Raven forces him to his knees. She belongs to no one, Raven growls. That is what you never understood, Victor. Women are not possessions to be claimed, but equals to be earned. He looks to me, a question in his golden eyes. With sudden clarity, I understand what must happen next. The pendant guides me forward until I stand before Victor. Despite his wounded state, hatred and hunger still burn in his eyes. Victor of the Southern Pack, I say, the words not entirely my own. You have violated the sacred hunt with force and deception. You have threatened your king and attempted to claim against consent. I place my hand on his forehead. He tries to jerk away, but Raven holds him firmly. I strip you of your alpha status, I continue, feeling power flow through me into him. You are pack no more. Victor screams, a sound of pure anguish as something fundamental is torn from him. When it ends, he collapses to the ground, shivering. When he looks up, his eyes are ordinary brown, the Lycan glow extinguished. The pack gasps collectively. Raven himself looks stunned. What did you do to me? Victor whimpers, his voice higher, weaker. What was necessary? I answer, feeling suddenly drained. The pendant's glow fades, and with it, the ancestral knowledge that guided me. You can no longer hurt women as you hurt your previous mates. I sway on my feet, exhaustion washing over me. Raven is there instantly, his strong arms supporting me. It is done, he announces to the assembled Lycans. Return to your territories. The blood moon claiming is complete. They disperse quickly, two of them dragging the still-stunned Victor with them. Within moments, only Raven and I remain in the clearing, the shattered cabin behind us. You never told me you were a moon speaker, he says quietly, his arm still around me. I didn't know, I reply honestly. My grandmother, she must have been preparing me, but she died before she could tell me everything. He helps me back into the cabin, settling me gently on the bed. His own wounds are already healing, the Lycan blood in him working its magic. I watch as he rebuilds the fire, his movements graceful despite the recent violence. What happens now? I ask when he's done. He turns to me, firelight dancing across his features. The blood moon's light is fading as it moves past its peak, the crimson giving way to ordinary silver. That depends on you, he says. The claiming time is over. You're free to choose your path. And if I choose to learn more about what I am, about these powers I seem to have? A small smile touches his lips. Then you would find no better teacher than the Lycan King, who was raised on the old stories of moon speakers. Our eyes meet across the cabin, and something unspoken passes between us. The pendant at my throat warms gently, not with power this time, but with something else, possibility. The night is not yet over. Raven says softly, and there is much to discuss. Outside, the forest has gone quiet, as if holding its breath for what comes next. Dawn finds us still talking. Throughout the night, Raven has explained more about moon speakers, their history, their abilities, their place in Lycan society. With each revelation, pieces of my past click into place. My grandmother's strange lessons, my unusual affinity for calming angry people, the way animals never feared me. So I'm not fully human, I say, watching the first rays of sunlight filter through the broken wall. You are human, Raven corrects, stoking the rebuilt fire. Moon speakers are human women with a rare gift, the ability to connect with the Lycan spirit, to speak to both sides of our nature. I touch the pendant, which has returned to its normal state after the night's events. And my grandmother? She took this power from Victor? Not his power, his status, Raven explains. The ability to command a pack, to transform fully. He's still Lycan by blood, but diminished. It's an ancient punishment, rarely used. I didn't know it was still possible. He studies me with newfound respect. You acted on pure instinct. Most moon speakers train for years to control such abilities. I remember the strange language that flowed from my lips, the certainty that guided my actions. It felt like someone else was speaking through me. The collective memory of your lineage, perhaps. Moon speakers pass knowledge through blood and that pendant. He gestures to the silver crescent. It's more than jewelry. It's a conduit. The weight of this new identity settles on me, both burden and gift. What does this mean for me now? Will others come looking for me like Victor did? Raven's expression darkens. Some might, when word spreads. A moon speaker hasn't been seen in decades. Many thought the line extinct. He moves closer, his warmth a comfort in the morning chill. But as king, I can offer protection while you learn to control your abilities. At what price? I ask, wary despite our night of conversation. Nothing comes without cost. His eyes meet mine, clear and direct in the morning light. No price, no obligation. You are free to choose your path, Elena. I meant what I said about choice. Something has shifted between us during the night. The initial fear has given way to cautious trust, and beneath that, a current of something deeper neither of us has acknowledged. I should leave this place, I say, looking around at the damaged cabin. It's not safe anymore. Come to the Northern Territory, Raven suggests, his tone carefully neutral. Not as my mate, unless you wish it, but as an honored guest. There you can learn about your abilities with the protection of my pack. The offer tempts me. Where else could I go? Return to my mother, who would sell me to the next highest bidder. Strike out alone, vulnerable to any Lycan who discovered what I am. I need time to think, I say finally. Raven nods, respecting my hesitation. Of course. But we shouldn't linger here. Victor's remaining loyalists might return. As if summoned by his words, a howl echoes in the distance. Not close, but not far enough for comfort. We should move quickly, Raven says, instantly alert. Can you travel? The exhaustion of the night's event still weighs on me, but fear lends me strength. Yes. There's a safe outpost half a day's journey north, he says, gathering the few possessions I've accumulated during my weeks in the cabin. We can rest there and decide our next steps. I take my grandmother's journal from beneath the mattress, the one possession I couldn't leave behind when I fled. Raven watches as I tuck it securely in my pack. She kept records? He asks, interest evident in his voice. Mostly herb lore and healing remedies, I reply. Though there are passages I never understood. Perhaps they contain more about moon speakers. He nods. We should preserve that knowledge. It's too precious to lose. Outside, the forest feels different in daylight. Less threatening, but more exposed. Raven moves with silent confidence, occasionally scenting the air to check for danger. I follow, trying to match his quiet steps. How did you become king? I ask after we've been walking for an hour, curiosity finally overcoming my caution. The stories vary. A shadow passes over his features. Through necessity, not ambition. My father, the previous king, was a good man until madness took him. A sickness of the mind that turned him violent, paranoid. The madness my grandmother healed? He glances back, surprise evident in his expression. Yes. How did you know? You mentioned it last night, that she healed your father. He nods, continuing our trek through a dense section of pines. She did. But the healing came too late for many. By then, he had alienated most of the packs with his cruelty. When he recovered, he recognized what he had become and stepped down. The careful phrasing tells me there's more to the story, but I don't press. We all have secrets we guard. You unified the packs after that? It took 5 years, he admits. Some through diplomacy, some through combat challenges. Victor's pack was among the last to submit, and never willingly. This explains the bitter enmity between them. And since then? What kind of king have you been? He stops at the crest of a hill, looking back at me with an intensity that makes my breath catch. The kind who would end the traditions that treat women as property. The kind who believes strength exists to protect, not control. Ask me again when we reach the outpost, and I'll show you the changes I've made. Something in his voice makes me believe him. We continue in companionable silence, the forest brightening as the sun climbs higher. By midday, we reach a clearing where a small stone structure stands, more cottage than outpost, with a tended garden and smoke curling from the chimney. Someone lives here? I ask, hesitating at the tree line. My mother, Raven answers, surprising me. After my father's death, she chose solitude over court life. You brought me to your mother? I can't hide my astonishment. A rare smile softens his features. She's the best person to help you understand your abilities. She was friend to your grandmother before Alara disappeared. Before I can respond, the cottage door opens. A striking woman with silver-streaked dark hair emerges, her posture regal despite simple clothing. Her eyes, the same golden hue as Raven's, widen when she sees me. Raven, she says, her gaze never leaving my face. You found her. You knew, I ask, stepping into the clearing. The woman approaches slowly, wonder in her expression. I knew Alara had a granddaughter. I didn't know she had passed her gifts to you. Her eyes drop to the pendant at my throat. Until now. Mother, Raven says formally, this is Elena. Elena, this is Lyra, Queen Mother of the Northern Territories. I attempt an awkward curtsy, but Lyra waves it away. We don't stand on ceremony here, child. Any granddaughter of Alara is welcome in my home. Her warmth is unexpected after weeks of fear and hiding. Tears prick at my eyes as she takes my hands in hers. You have her eyes, Lyra says softly, and her spirit, I'd wager. Come inside. You must be exhausted. The cottage interior is simple but comfortable. A large hearth, well-worn furniture, shelves lined with books and jars of herbs. It reminds me painfully of my grandmother's home. Sit, both of you, Lyra commands, bustling about the kitchen area. I'll prepare food, then we can talk. As she works, I notice Raven watching me with an unreadable expression. When our eyes meet, he doesn't look away. Thank you, I say quietly. For everything. Something softens in his gaze. I made you a promise of choice. I intend to keep it. His mother returns with bowls of hearty stew and fresh bread. The simple meal feels like a feast after weeks of whatever I could forage or trap. Now, Lyra says when we've finished eating, tell me everything. Raven recounts the events of the blood moon. Finding me, Victor's attack, my awakening as a moon speaker. His mother listens intently, her expression grave, taking an alpha's status, she murmurs when he finishes. Such a thing hasn't been done in generations. The packs will talk of nothing else. Is that dangerous for Elena? Raven asks, concern evident. Lyra considers me thoughtfully. It makes her position complicated. Some will fear her power, others will seek to control it, and some will respect it, Raven counters. Perhaps, his mother concedes. But she needs training, protection while she learns. I've offered both, Raven says. At the Northern Court. Lyra's eyebrows rise slightly as she looks between us. I see. There's a weight to those 2 words that makes me flush. And your answer, Elena? All eyes turn to me. The enormity of the choice before me is daunting. Stay with these strangers who seem to know more about my heritage than I do, or return to a world where I'd be forever hunted for what I am. I need to understand what I am, I say finally. What these abilities mean, how to control them. Lyra nods approvingly, a wise approach. I can teach you what I know of moon speakers, though Alara was far more skilled than I. The journal might help, I suggest, retrieving my grandmother's book from my pack. There may be information here I couldn't interpret before. Lyra takes the leather-bound volume reverently. Alara's own hand, a treasure beyond price. She opens it carefully, scanning the first pages. Yes, this will help us tremendously. As she reads, Raven moves to sit beside me on the small sofa. His proximity sends a current of awareness through me that has nothing to do with fear. You're safe here, he says quietly, for as long as you wish to stay. And then, if I choose to go to your court, his golden eyes hold mine steadily. Then you would have status as a moon speaker, respect, protection, freedom to come and go as you please. He hesitates. And my friendship, if you want it. There's something careful in how he says friendship, as if offering more but unwilling to presume. The ember of attraction that sparked between us in the cabin hasn't diminished with daylight. If anything, it's grown warmer with each moment of his continued respect for my autonomy. I would like that, I admit softly. A subtle tension leaves his shoulders. Before he can respond, Lyra closes the journal with a sharp intake of breath. Alara knew, she says, looking up at us with widened eyes. She foresaw everything, Victor's pursuit, the Blood Moon confrontation, even Raven finding you. How could she know? I ask, bewildered. Some moon speakers have the gift of foresight, Lyra explains. Alara's was particularly strong. According to these notes, she arranged your meeting deliberately. Raven and I exchanged startled glances. There's more, Lyra continues, her finger tracing a passage. She writes of a coming darkness in the Lycan world, a sickness of the spirit that threatens to corrupt the packs from within. Like what happened to your father, Raven, but widespread. And she believed Elena could stop it? Raven asks. Lyra looks at me with new gravity. Not alone. The journal speaks of balance. The moon speaker and the Lycan king, working as equals to heal the divide between human and wolf. The revelation hangs in the air between us, heavy with implication. I look from Lyra to Raven, trying to process what this means. My grandmother arranged for us to meet? I finally ask. How is that possible? Lyra turns the journal so we can see the page. There, in my grandmother's familiar flowing script, is a passage dated 15 years ago. The visions come stronger now. I see her, my Elena, standing beneath the blood moon with the son of the wolf who carried madness. Only together can they prevent the shadow from consuming all. The pendant must pass to her when the time is right. She will know when to use it. She wrote this when I was just a child, I whisper, tracing the ink with trembling fingers. Before Raven was even king. Alara's gift was remarkable, Lyra says. Even among moon speakers, such precise foresight is rare. Raven rises, moving to the window with controlled energy. What is this darkness she speaks of, this shadow? Lyra turns several pages, scanning quickly. She doesn't name it directly, but there are references to those who would pervert the old ways. And the blood that turns on itself. Victor's pack, I suggest. They seem to follow the old traditions of forced claiming. Perhaps, Raven says, though he sounds unconvinced. But Victor was a symptom, not the cause. His views were extreme, but not unique. There's something here about a ritual, Lyra says, studying a densely written page. Something that would require both the blood of a moon speaker and an alpha of pure lineage. She looks up at her son. Your bloodline is the oldest among the Lycans. A chill runs through me. What kind of ritual? One to sever the connection between human and wolf completely, she answers gravely. To create Lycans who would be wolf entirely. No human conscience, no restraint. Monsters, Raven says flatly. Who would want such a thing? Those who believe Lycans should rule over humans, not live alongside them, Lyra replies. Those who see human traits as weakness. The pieces begin to fit together in my mind. Is that why Victor was so determined to claim me? Not just for a mate, but for this ritual. If he knew of your heritage, possibly, Lyra concedes, though he may simply have wanted the prestige of claiming a moon speaker. Either way, you were right to run, Elena. Raven returns to my side, his expression grim. This changes things. If what Ilara foresaw is true, your safety is even more critical. The weight of destiny settles over me. Unwanted. Unexpected. Yesterday, I was just a woman hiding from a forced claiming. Today, I'm apparently central to preventing some catastrophic darkness. I never asked for any of this, I say softly. Raven surprises me by taking my hand. His touch is gentle despite the strength I know it contains. Few who change the world ever ask for the burden, but you faced Victor without flinching. You have more courage than you know. His confidence in me is both flattering and terrifying. I withdraw my hand, needing space to think. I need air, I announce, standing abruptly. Neither tries to stop me as I move to the door and step outside. The afternoon sun warms my face as I walk to the edge of the garden, trying to sort through the whirlwind of revelations. A moon speaker. A prophecy. A darkness threatening the Lycan world. And somehow, I'm meant to stand against it with a man. A Lycan. I've known for barely a day, yet something about Raven feels familiar. As if the hours we've spent together have somehow stretched into something deeper. Is that another aspect of being a moon speaker? This strange connection to him? I don't know how long I stand there before I hear footsteps approaching. Not Raven's confident stride, but Lyra's lighter tread. It's a lot to absorb, she says, coming to stand beside me. An understatement, I reply with a weak smile. She studies me with those golden eyes so like her son's. You remind me of Ilara when she first discovered her abilities. Terrified, but determined not to show it. You knew her well? She saved my mate, Raven's father, when the madness took him. Stayed with us for nearly a year, teaching me what she could of her gifts. Lyra's gaze turns distant with memory. We became like sisters. Why did she leave? Why hide who she was from me? Lyra sighs. The same darkness she foresaw was already stirring. There were those who believed her powers should be controlled by the strongest pack. She fled to protect herself, and later, to protect you. I touch the pendant, feeling its subtle warmth, and now I'm supposed to face what she ran from? Not alone, Lyra says firmly. My son is many things, but above all he keeps his word. If he promised you protection and choice, you'll have both. Something in her tone makes me look at her more carefully. You sound proud of him. I am. Raven could have ruled as his predecessors did, through fear and dominance. Instead, he's worked to change our ways, often against fierce opposition. A small smile touches her lips, though he's still as stubborn as his father was. Despite everything, I find myself smiling too. I noticed. Lyra's expression grows more serious. What my son hasn't told you is how isolated his position has made him. A king must appear infallible, especially one implementing change. He cannot show weakness or uncertainty. That sounds lonely, I say, thinking of the glimpses of vulnerability I've seen beneath his commanding presence. It is. Which is perhaps why Ilara foresaw you both needed each other. She touches my arm gently. Moon speakers traditionally stood as equals to alpha rulers, advisors who could speak truth without fear, who could bridge the human and wolf natures. The separation of our roles has weakened both. The pieces click together in my mind. That's the imbalance she wrote about. Lyra nods. I believe so. When moon speakers disappeared, alphas lost their counterbalance. Power without wisdom becomes tyranny. Like Victor, I murmur. Like many, she corrects, though few as extreme. We stand in contemplative silence for a moment. In the distance, a hawk circles against the blue sky, free, yet constantly vigilant. Whatever you decide, Lyra finally says, know that you're welcome here for as long as you need. Prophecy or no prophecy, your path must be your choice. Her words echo Raven's consistent message since we met, choice. Freedom to determine my own fate, despite the pressures pulling me in different directions. Thank you, I tell her sincerely. She smiles and heads back to the cottage, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The afternoon sun begins its slow descent, casting longer shadows across the garden. I should go back inside soon, but I need these final moments of solitude to center myself. A twig snaps in the forest beyond the clearing. I spin toward the sound, heart instantly racing. The peaceful moment shattered, I scan the tree line for movement. Nothing moves among the shadows between trunks, but instinct tells me something watches. The pendant warms against my skin. A warning. I back toward the cottage, unwilling to turn my back on the forest. Before I can call out, Raven appears at my side, his body tense with alertness. "Someone's there," I whisper. "I know," he replies, his voice low. "I caught the scent. Go inside with Mother." "Who is it?" His expression darkens. "Not Victor's pack. Someone else. Someone trying to mask their scent." Fear prickles along my spine, but I force it down. "I'm not leaving you alone. Elena." "No." I cut him off with surprising firmness. "If we're meant to face this darkness together." Something flashes in his eyes. Respect, perhaps, or admiration. He nods once, positioning himself slightly ahead of me, facing the forest. "Show yourself," he calls out, voice carrying across the clearing. "You trespass on protected territory." For several heartbeats, nothing happens. Then a figure emerges from the shadows. A woman, tall and striking, with close-cropped silver hair and eyes cold as winter. She wears the leather garb of a Lycan warrior, but moves with unnatural stillness. "Protected territory," she repeats, her voice oddly flat. "How quaint. Nothing is protected from what comes, Lycan King." Raven stiffens beside me. "Mara, I thought you were dead. Many things thought dead merely sleep," she replies with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Like the old ways you've tried so hard to bury." Her gaze shifts to me, and the pendant at my throat pulses with warning heat. "So it's true," she says, taking a step closer. "A moon speaker lives. How fortunate for us all." "What do you want, Mara?" Raven demands, subtly shifting to keep himself between us. "To see for myself what Alara's granddaughter has become." Her nostrils flare as she scents the air. "Interesting. You've not claimed her, despite the blood moon's passing. Growing soft in your progressive ways, Raven? Respecting choice isn't weakness," he growls. "Isn't it?" She circles us slowly, predatory grace in every movement. The strong take, the weak submit. Nature's law is simpler than your lofty ideals. I study her as she moves, noticing something off about her movements. Too smooth, too controlled for a Lycan. And her eyes. They don't reflect light like ravens do. "What happened to you?" I ask, the words emerging before I can stop them. Her attention snaps to me, sharp as a blade. She speaks, and asks interesting questions. She stops circling, facing me directly. "What happened, little speaker, is evolution. Freedom from the weakness of human constraint." The pendant burns against my skin, and knowledge flows through me like it did under the blood moon. "You've done it," I whisper in horror. "The ritual." Mara's smile widens, revealing teeth too sharp, too numerous. "Part of it. Enough to taste what we might become." Raven growls low in his throat. "You've perverted our nature, severed the balance." "I've transcended it," she counters. "And soon others will follow, those with the courage to embrace true power." "Is that why you're here?" I ask, fighting to keep my voice steady. "To recruit us to your cause?" She laughs, a sound like shattering glass. "You?" "No. The king, perhaps, if he could see beyond his human sympathies. But you, Moonspeaker, are meant for something else entirely." The threat in her words is unmistakable. Beside me, Raven shifts slightly, muscles tensing for combat. "She is under my protection," he states, voice deadly
"Challenge
calm.
that at your peril."
Mara's head tilts, studying him like a curious specimen. Protection, claiming, possession. Different words for the same chain. Her cold gaze returns to me. "Ask yourself, Speaker, does he protect you for your benefit or for what your blood can do for his kind?" Before either of us can respond, the cottage door opens. Lyra emerges, a bow drawn and aimed steadily at Mara. You were banished for reason, Mara, Lyra calls. Leave my lands now. Mara's expression flickers with something like respect. The Queen Mother defends her cub and his chosen. How maternal. She backs toward the forest edge, movements liquid and unsettling. Consider this a courtesy, Raven. Change comes, whether you embrace it or resist. Choose wisely which side of history you wish to stand on. Her eyes lock with mine one final time. We'll meet again, Moon Speaker. When you've learned what you truly are. Then she's gone, vanishing into the forest shadows with unnatural speed. The tension breaks like a fever. Raven exhales sharply, turning to check on me. Are you all right? I nod, though my heart still races. What was she? Not fully Lycan anymore. Something worse, Lyra says, approaching with her bow still ready. Mara was my husband's advisor before the madness took him. She disappeared after his recovery, presumed dead in the factional fighting that followed. She's changed, Raven says grimly. That ritual, it's altered her beyond just severing her human side. There was something empty about her. The encounter has confirmed what my grandmother's journal warned. The darkness isn't coming. It's already here, wearing Mara's face and promising to spread. We need to return to the Northern Court immediately, Raven decides. If Mara has resurfaced, others loyal to the old ways may follow. The packs must be warned. Lyra nods in agreement. I'll secure the cottage and follow tomorrow. She looks at me with concern. Are you ready for this, Elena? The court is not always kind to newcomers, even ones with your heritage. The question hangs between us. Am I ready to step into a role I barely understand? To stand against a threat I'm only beginning to comprehend? To leave behind the ordinary life I once thought would be mine? But that ordinary life disappeared the moment I fled the claiming ceremony. There's no going back, only forward, into whatever future awaits. I don't think anyone is ever ready for destiny, I say finally. But I'm tired of running and hiding. If I have these abilities for a reason, I want to understand them. Use them. Something like pride shines in Raven's golden eyes. Then we face this together. As we gather what we need for the journey, a strange calm settles over me. The fear hasn't disappeared, but it's transformed into something else. Determination, perhaps, or acceptance. Night is falling by the time we're ready to depart. Lyra embraces me before we leave, pressing something into my palm. A small leather pouch. Elara left this for you, she explains. Said I would know when to give it to you. I think that time is now. Inside the pouch is a small key and a folded scrap of paper with an address written in my grandmother's hand, a location in the Northern Territory's central city. What is this? I ask. Your grandmother kept a sanctuary in the city, Lyra explains. A place few knew about. It seems she intended it for you. Another piece of the puzzle my grandmother arranged before her death. I tucked the pouch securely in my pack, alongside her journal. Raven and I set off as the first stars appear. He moves with easy confidence through the darkening forest, occasionally glancing back to ensure I keep pace. Unlike our journey to the cottage, tension now crackles between us. Not fear or distrust, but something electric and unacknowledged. What Mara said, I begin when we stop to rest at a small stream. About you protecting me for what my blood could do for Lycans. He turns to face me fully, moonlight silvering his features. Mara deals in half-truths and manipulation. Yes, your abilities could benefit my people, but that's not why I've offered protection. Then why? I ask, needing to hear it directly. Raven steps closer, his gaze intent, because from the moment I caught your scent on the wind, something in me recognized something in you. Because you faced me with courage when others would have collapsed in terror. Because you risked yourself to save me from Victor's pack when you could have run. He reaches out slowly, giving me time to pull away if I choose. When I don't, his palm cups my cheek with surprising gentleness. Most of all, he continues, voice deepening, because you've reminded me what I've been fighting for all along. A world where strength serves rather than dominates, where choice matters. The honesty in his words resonates through me. Despite the brevity of our acquaintance, I feel as if I've known him far longer, perhaps an echo of whatever connection my grandmother foresaw between us. I'm afraid, I admit quietly. Not of you, of failing, of this power I don't understand, of whatever Mara represents. Fear doesn't make you weak, he says. It makes you wise. The truly dangerous are those who feel no fear at all, like what Mara has become. His hand drops reluctantly from my face, and we continue our journey. As we walk, he tells me more about the Northern Court, its customs, the changes he's implemented, the resistance he's faced. I listen, building a mental map of the world I'm about to enter. By midnight, we crest a hill, and the city comes into view below, a sprawling collection of lights nestled in a valley, both modern and ancient in its layout. At its center stands a massive structure of stone and glass that must be the palace. The Northern Court, Raven says, a hint of pride in his voice. Your new home, if you wish it. Home. The word stirs something deep within me. Since my father's death and my flight from the claiming, I've had no real home, just temporary shelters and hiding places. It's beautiful, I say honestly. It can be, he agrees. It can also be dangerous. Politics among Lycans is intense. I'm beginning to understand that. He turns to me, his expression suddenly serious. Before we descend, I need to know your choice, Elena. Not about us, he adds quickly, but about your role. Will you stand openly as a moon speaker? It offers protection, but also makes you a target for those who think like Mara. I consider the pendant at my throat, the journal in my pack, the abilities that flow through my blood. All gifts from my grandmother, meant for a purpose larger than my individual safety. I'm done hiding, I tell him with newfound resolve. If being a moon speaker is what I am, then I'll embrace it. Learn to use it against whatever Mara represents. Relief and something warmer passes across his features. Then I'll announce you formally to the court tomorrow. Tonight you'll stay in the royal wing, under my personal protection. The implication sends heat to my cheeks, which he notices with a slight smile. Your own quarters, he clarifies. Remember, choice in all things. As we descend toward the city, lights twinkling below us like earthbound stars, I feel the final pieces of my old life falling away. Ahead lies uncertainty, danger, and a role I'm only beginning to understand, but also purpose, connection, perhaps even belonging. Whatever darkness Mara and her kind represent, whatever destiny my grandmother foresaw for us, one thing becomes increasingly clear. I don't face it alone, and perhaps that makes all the difference. Raven leads the way down the hillside, a king returning to his domain. I follow a step behind, no longer running away but moving toward something new. The pendant warms comfortingly against my skin, and the moon, no longer blood red but silvery white, lights our path forward, into the city, into the court, into whatever future awaits us both.